Hello and welcome to the Week in Asia. I'm Nadia Shabi. Coming up in this week's programme, Burma's efforts to prove its democratic ambitions hit a serious stumbling block. Could the world soon be missing one of its seven wonders? The Taj Mahal is under threat. And pushing boundaries in Pakistan, we'll be looking at one man's high-heeled crusade for the gay and transgender community. Elections are coming up in Burma, a sign the country is edging closer to democracy. But despite visible reform efforts, Burma's civilian government is still facing a major challenge before it can obtain the lifting of crippling international sanctions. In June 2011, after a 17-year truce, clashes erupted again between government troops and armed rebels in northern Kachin state. And in a report released this week, Human Rights Watch accuses the Burmese army of committing serious rights abuses against civilians there.
A military training in a jungle camp in Burma's Golden Triangle. We are in Kachin state. For a year now, a civil war has raged. The rebels launched a general draft. Hundreds of men and women are now enrolling for the front line.
I can't wait to finally get a real gun and to fight for my country.
Liza, the rebel capital of the state, shelters 20,000 inhabitants. This fortress town on the Chinese border is in a state of heightened alert. A lucrative trade in the trafficking of precious stones and timber had brought prosperity. Now it's a regional outpost that marches to the rhythms of war. This footage, shot by Kachin rebels, shows heavy fighting. After a 17-year ceasefire, the Burmese government launched a major offensive to disarm the Kachin. It's an uneven struggle. The rebels are outnumbered 10-1. Hundreds have died, tens of thousands have been displaced. This Liza hotel was transformed into a crisis command center. The greatest urgency now is to establish a humanitarian zone.
The Burmese government says we've rejected international aid. This is totally false. The United Nations must come to our aid, but they must give us direct assistance, not through the Burmese organizations who are seeking to infiltrate us.
Thousands of Kachin civilians are crammed into makeshift camps in Liza under the protection of the insurgents. They've been internally displaced by civil war in their own country. They are the first line of attack for the Burmese army.
The soldiers come to our villages and destroy everything. If I go home, I die.
The front lines are a short distance away, only a few kilometers outside of Liza. A guerrilla unit escorts us to outlooks on the outskirts of Kachin state. This fortress outpost is supposed to protect the rebel capital from Burmese offensives.
The Burmese soldiers are right there. You can see them.
Not only do we see them, but we can also hear them.
For 2 days, they call us pigs. They say they'll cook us and eat us.
It's prayer time for the resistance. In a Liza chapel, widows and the mothers of soldiers take turns praying 24 hours a day. The Kachins were evangelized a century ago. Faith here goes hand in hand with war.
I decided to pray every day until the fighting stops, but maybe I'll die without ever seeing peace.
For several months, the Burmese army's determination against the ethnic Kachin has grown. It's one of the many gray areas in the